What's happening, folks? I can't keep the grin off my face because I just listened to this EP again and I was editing the highlights for it, and the whole thing is essentially a highlight, but I've done my best to break this down into like the funniest moments or the best moments, because it's kind of like one of those albums that's so mental that it also nearly becomes a comedy piece because it's so outrageous and so ridiculous. I think this album is the most mind-blown I've been by an album since I heard Vildhjarta's Masstaden under Vatten, which is the highest form of compliment you can get, especially on my channel, with the amount of wacky music that we listen to on a day-to-day basis and a weekly basis. So this is Mirar's latest and debut EP or album called Mare. We checked it out on stream on Friday and just insanity. This is again the highlights. If you want to check out the full album reaction with all my thoughts going in and my massive thoughts going out, then subscribe to the Patreon. It would be much appreciated. Links are in the description. Otherwise, enjoy the highlight video, lads. Cheers. We have the forklift core back, man. Certified forklift core. Now this I can get behind. It's got all of the mad, chaotic, stupid elements in it, but it's still following like some form of like groove, you know? It almost sounds like someone mocking you with the fucking way the guitar tone sounds. Like, it's like annoying almost. There's no way I'm not listening to that again. Oh, that was like the most redlined you could get a transition ever with it still sounding good. What the fuck? This is literally serial killer music. It's playlist. Fucking hell, this is well done. That's so sexy. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. This is literally the most forklift core. Fucking hell. See, I don't know. I love it's like soundscape music to me. It's like cinematic again. It's falling into that, like, it's left the realm of music that I listen to for like traditional reasons like melody and groove. It's like I'm now in the cinematic realm where I'm watching a fucking movie in my brain. Yeah, I was a little bit skeptical coming into this album because anytime I see like mad hype for stuff, I'm like, okay, this is just gonna be one of those things that gets hyped up for no reason. Now, am I loving the like musical side of it? Not really. Like the songs aren't something I go back to too much apart from Rose Bonbon, but it's like something you have to hear. You just really have to get lost in this kind of music and just I guess see if your brain can latch on to anything that you kind of enjoy, because it's literally feels like you're watching a fucking mad scientist just write equations on a board. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's not like anything I've ever heard before, to be honest. It's similar to Ashen. Again, it's kind of like the first time I've heard that like evolution of that like Ashen sound done well, where it's the absolute brutality of Ashen, but the production elements to it feel a little bit more digital. So it's kind of like adding a whole new realm to it, because Ashen was like, I don't know, man. Ashen's distortion level as well was so obnoxious. This doesn't quite have that. It's like right on that like red line. Whereas I feel like Ashen kind of like even pushed past that level and allowed that to like add another layer of like ambience and this weird eeriness to it. But this is like right on that listenable level to me, where it's still mental, but it's fucking so creative, man. It really is. Jesus Christ. It's hard to shock me, but this is like, fuck me. This is creative. It's not like tacky either. It's actually really well put together. Even though I don't love it, it's like really like classily done. There's a lot of work put into this, you can tell. What just happened? I actually kind of just blacked out for a moment. Ah! I have to pause. I have to pause. The rational side of my brain and that person before, like that love for music, thinks that this is an absolute atrocity to listen to and it's just utter dog shit and not music. And that is exactly how 99.9% of the population would listen to this. But the music nerd in me has the polar opposite opinions to that and says that like this is just absolutely genius, and how the fuck like my brain is shutting down. It's insane. I actually can't figure out what's going on. Like the other tracks were like absolutely wild, but I think the combination of all the tracks up to this point have just slowly chipped away at my brain and started to like break down anything I know about this style of music, and this is a new thing. What the fuck? Again, I don't love it. I don't love that song at all, but I can't help but like really like enjoy the listening experience of it. It's just so different. Man, their fucking production, the mixing, whoever's responsible for all this shit is an absolute weirdo. They actually mixed THALL and hardcore, or hard style. They've actually mixed hard style and THALL. They've just opened a portal up somewhere. Maybe there's a portal in Oslo that we need to go and visit, that they've just opened. They're trying to talk to us through music. This is so dumb. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This was already in my playlist before this part happened. Tinfoil tune. Oh. Their transitions are so slick as well. This is so well done. This is like this is the music nerd album. I need to see Fantano do a reaction to this, or just give his thoughts and just be annoying about it. Holy god, I have nothing to say in between these songs. We'll talk about it at the end. This is almost 9 minutes long. I'm scared. I'm shocked and appalled by this album. Leo is trained jazz classical guitarist. He's a fucking serial killer, is what you're trying to say. Ah, my voice. They've literally made my voice go. The musical equivalent of being stabbed in the brain multiple times. Couldn't have said it better myself. I honestly don't have much to say on this. I feel like sometimes your visual reaction can speak for itself with these things. That was so much, and it's definitely falling into the categories that I spoke about earlier, where I am gonna remember this EP for a long time, regardless of how I feel about it from like an overall musical standpoint. Musical standpoint probably isn't the correct word, because I love it for the music, if that makes sense, even though I don't necessarily, how do I explain this? When I'm originally when I was saying musical standpoint, I mean like the kind of traditional stuff that I love, like, you know, your groove melodies, that kind of stuff that I would normally go on about. When I'm saying that, when I say like the musical stuff, it kind of like almost treats this as if it's not good music, which is not my stance on this at all. It's kind of hard to explain. These guys have absolutely fucked my head. Some of the most insane musicianship I've heard in a long time, and I think the production is on par with the musicianship, as if not even more impressive. Like, the production to actually pull this off and make it sound good for what it is very impressive as well. I don't know, again, I think the best way to kind of round up my thoughts is you can look at this from two lenses. Like I mentioned, you can look at it from like the more rational side of my brain, which kind of says that this is so experimental and fun as like a cinematic piece that, you know, going in very open-minded, it's cool, but it's like kind of terrible music. That's like a rational way my brain looks at it, because it's like too mental and too chaotic. But the music nerd side of me looks at this and says, Jesus Christ, I've never heard anything like this. It's so dark, it's got groove, it's got really fun production elements, it's so well mixed. The actual introduction of like dance elements into THALL, but not make it sound like an electric cowboy track and make it kind of sound a bit like tacky and weirdo shit. It was very well done. To even have THALL classical music and hardstyle in the same album, and like some of those really like big room EDM synths as well, incomprehensible sometimes. Like, I can't wrap my head around some of the shit, but some of it is very accessible, although it's still mental. There's like the drumming in it is quite accessible, but like they have all of the wacky guitars that are like spinning around your head, and again the implementation of the synths as well, and the piano under all of that. It's just so much happening. I actually think I want to give this a 9 out of 10. I just see you guys have an average rating of 9 as well. I think that's actually quite fair, because all things considered, to even get 3 very strong playlisted tracks out of this, I think is a shout to this album, because it's clearly trying to be so out there and experimental and like really drive an already niche, creative, experimental subgenre that is THALL. They've somehow like taken that to the next level. This feels like the most refined elevation of the THALL sound. So that in and of itself, I think is very commendable. Do I love the sound appeal of it overall? Not really, but I can really appreciate how fucking well done this is and how creative it is. And like I said, to have like 3 pretty replayable tracks with Rose Bonbon, Franca and Oslo in an album like this, like, which is literally half of the EP, like there's 6 songs, to have 3 of them that are in playlists that I can see myself going back to, whilst also being the most mind-bending creative tracks I've heard in a long time. That to me is like ticking so many boxes. They've managed to be like as far from cookie cutter as possible, whilst also creating like replay value, which is just very commendable.